I like all this talk that you were saying about you being a connector, because that brings me on to how I first introduced you as the vice chairman of the British Chamber of Commerce in Vietnam. So maybe you would like to share with our listeners what your role is there and what the British Chamber is actually doing here in Vietnam.
Sure, pleasure. As some people may or may not know, the British Chamber of Commerce Vietnam is actually the equal oldest chamber of commerce of business in the whole of Vietnam. Technically, it's like the firstborn twin compared to the Japanese Chamber of Commerce. We were established a little bit before, on the same day or thereabouts, as the Japanese Chamber of Commerce. And you only have to, in hindsight, look at the immense benefit chambers of commerce, particularly the British Chamber of Commerce, Japanese Chamber of Commerce, AmCham, OzCham, can bring alongside now, say, Eurocham, which is a major force, to foreign experts and foreign corporations wanting to do FDI and FII in the Vietnamese landscape, or partner and find partners for something that they'd like to import into their home country. So firstly, I arrived in Vietnam in 2013. I attended many different chambers of commerce events and social networking, hosted get-togethers, very professionally organized across the spectrum, even Canadian Chamber of Commerce, CanCham, exceptionally well-organized chamber. I got to know some of the people there. I recall meeting yourself. Back then, you were on the board and a very senior member of the British Chamber of Commerce. Ken Atkinson, similarly, senior board member of the British Chamber of Commerce. And I was working, so I had the opportunity to meet people like that, and I could see what they were doing. Then I started to get some of my friends and peers nominate themselves for a board position, such as one of my best friends in Vietnam, Chris Milliken, who's a fantastic lawyer. He's just made partner at Baker & McKenzie now in the Ho Chi Minh City head office, and a total gentleman. He advanced over the short space of time to become a vice chairman, and in late 2021, early 2022, as you know, we were coming out of COVID, and I got a call from Ken Atkinson. He's he's a legend in the accounting and business sphere, and we went to lunch, and at the lunch, he just happened to say, would you like to, think about doing something more serious with the British Chamber of Commerce? And I could understand the translation, and it was to, roll the sleeves up and actually help drive it forward at a critical time, getting out of COVID, So a few people were in career transitions as well. So a vacancy was, presenting, and we had a chat about it. Ironically, at the same time, and another good friend of mine, who's actually he was the president of the Australian Chamber of Commerce at the time, Simon Pugh. We had lunch in Ho Chi Minh City only a couple of weeks around this period, and he too said, you'd add a bit of value. So he's a great business entrepreneur. He's got Queensland Label Makers, and he's built that out from Brisbane, Australia to Malaysia and Vietnam, and very active in what he's doing and very successful. And but again, they were kind of lacking securities and capital markets bench strength, So Ken asked first, and I don't like to ever, renege and go back on kind of an oral agreement or an understanding. So I nominated for the board position, and I was nervous as all get out, but at the AGM, not knowing But subsequently got elected and have had now quite a few years. It'll be 4 years in a couple of months there. And I've had most of those as vice chairman because I had the good fortune of being recommended by some of my peer board members. That's how it works, as you know. Once the votes are done, the board then convenes and selects a chairman and a couple of vice chairs, and then other important roles like what you've done, all of those, plus the treasurer that you've done many times.